Welcome to Richard and Greg, a channel dedicated to discussion, debate and argument on a whole array of topics. Today we talk to Greg about international trade with China, and we ask whether we in the West can afford to put our principles before profit. The UK government announced just over an hour ago that it will have no further dealings with Chinese company Huawei beyond 2027. We shall speak to Greg and ask his views on this rather delicate matter. Welcome to Richard and Greg. The date is Tuesday the 14th of July 2020 and the time is 21:12 hours. That's 9:12 in the evening, GMT +1. Now today's top story in the UK, or certainly in the last hour or so, has been an announcement that Huawei 5G must be removed from the United Kingdom by 2027. Now, many people who've been following the Huawei story will know that Donald Trump has effectively banned them from operating within the US or near to it, and was very disappointed that Boris Johnson had claimed that we were seriously considering using this company for our 5G network. Well, it looks like that's not going to happen now. So let's go over to Greg, find out what's happening, and also the slightly larger picture of China, relationships with the US and the UK and the rest of Europe, and whether they are a pariah that should be punished or whether we misunderstand them in the first place. Greg, good evening.
Good evening. And I think it's morally a very good evening. We should not, must not, and never should in the future deal with rogue regimes that treat people like commodities without ethics, without honor, and without integrity, like China. The United Kingdom has decided to ban Chinese telecom giant Huawei, who consistently claim, as does the Chinese government, that they have nothing to do with the government. Yet, within less than an hour of the announcement being made, we didn't get a response from Huawei, whose chairman in the United Kingdom voluntarily stood down from office. We got a response from the Chinese government via the Chinese ambassador, who I'm afraid his name is fairly unpronounceable for me, so you're going to have to look it up, as I have very little in common with the Chinese or the Chinese language. And so little have I in common with them that I am pleased to see that we will be purchasing no further equipment from Huawei beyond December the 31st, which again is an honourable action on the part of Britain in that we will honour the period of time for cancellations, and we will honour our undertakings up to that point, and we have given due notice. We will also be removing all existing Huawei kit from the UK 5G network, or should I say nascent 5G network, by 2027. China's response as a government to the fact that this government company that pretends to trade independently has been that the ambassador stated in a tweet, which I find seriously unimpressive, a disappointing and wrong decision by the UK. Who the hell is he to tell us what's right and wrong? These are the people who, in their cultural revolution, culturally killed in excess of 50 million of their own people. That is the foundation of their culture. it has become questionable whether the UK can provide an open, fair, and non-discriminatory business environment. Well, it has always been questionable if China can produce a humanitarian, decent environment for humans to live in, with its Tiananmen Square massacre of its own people. And as I say, Mao Zedong's massacre of some 50 million of its own people, with its glib invasion of Tibet and overthrow of that country, with its complete disregard for borders that inconvenience them, with their support of North Korea's rogue regime, with their interference with the affairs of Bhutan, with their perpetual insurgency on the Indian border, and more recently, with their disgusting abrogation of integrity and honor in their international agreement with these United Kingdoms regarding Hong Kong, that they have summarily dismissed and have imposed the most hideous of regimes, removing the human rights of the people of Hong Kong, and not only the human rights, but the treaty rights that China signed up to. I am very glad to see my government reject this sort of behavior, and I believe that we should do it more often, with more organizations around, more countries and organizations around the world who act in such a despicable manner. This is China, which currently has between 1 and 2 million people, its own people, the Uyghur sect of their Muslim community, imprisoned in concentration camps where they have taken entire families, separated men from women, given no ability for these people to communicate one with the other, husbands with their wives and vice versa, where they have taken away their children and they have no way of being in contact with their children, and they are being indoctrinated, where, to take it down to a detail that many will find disturbing, where they exported in the last month to Britain, I believe, but it might have been to Europe, 13 tons of human hair shaved from the heads of Uyghur people. We do not know if these were Uyghur people they have killed or if it is Uyghur prisoners. This is a country where court cases are held effectively in camera, just as they intend to extract citizens of Hong Kong for having the temerity to criticize the Chinese national anthem and anything to do with China, and extract them from Hong Kong and put them on trial behind closed doors, which is effectively military dictatorship and kangaroo courts. And they can hand down for that single thing, the event, because you can hardly call verbal criticism anything other than a human right. For that, they can hand down a life sentence. It is not unusual in China for fairly minor discrepancies from the law and transgressions to be faced with a court in camera where there is no realistic opportunity for either a legal defense where it is judged by a court appointee, where the death penalty can be handed down with no right of appeal, without the right of a professional defense, and where that death penalty leads to the victim of the state being led out to a prison vehicle, assuming they are being taken to prison, taken into the vehicle and finding it is an operating theatre where they are summarily executed and their organs are removed for sale on the world market. This is a country with the most disgusting morality. I am now looking forward to seeing our government have the decency and integrity to set an example to the world and to reject participation of China or any Chinese-based organization in the production of mobile phones, in the production of any part of the British nuclear industry, including Hinkley and the two other nuclear power stations that are scheduled, and having nothing to do with HS2. Hopefully that will lead to the collapse of HS2. And I am very proud to say I am British. And I'm very proud of my government if they follow through to that extent. Yes, it will cost us. It will cost every one of us. But it will possibly mean that we are not participating in the oppression, massacre, and misery of millions in China.
Well, Greg, that's all very laudable, but to be quite frank, the reality is that in 2019, 30 billion pounds of our exports went to China. And as far as the United States is concerned, $120 billion of their exports went to China. Now, admittedly, America imported $540 billion worth of Chinese goods. It's all very well, and I don't dispute the morality with you whatsoever, but you can't really cut off all trade with a country because you don't like the way the country treats its people. Because if that was the case, you probably wouldn't deal with 95% of the countries of the world. What say you to that?
We may find that we don't. And I would rather die on my feet with integrity and honor than live on my knees as a participant supporting the filth of that regime in China and many others that we deal with. Yes, it will be difficult. It will be difficult for possibly a number of years. Yes, it will cost us. Yes, it will be a struggle. And if this planet is to survive in any element of decency, somebody has to set the trend and take that risk. I believe that we can count on a number of our allies following us if they know that they will have us standing ethically in their midst. I can see no problem with dealing with America, with whom we have much in common, with whom we have fought several wars on the same side, on the same basis of ethics. And I look forward to doing this and moving forward. Just as had I been there at the time, I would have very, very strongly rejected the profitability of the slave trade and buying slaves from black slave traders who had enslaved adjoining tribes as a capital property on which to become wealthy. We stopped that. It cost us a great deal. In fact, we stopped it in the 1700s, and the cost of reparations for that, the only way we could do it ethically, was to buy the freedom of every single slave in the British Empire and grant them their freedom, and to use our navy to patrol the oceans to prevent the slave trade. We only paid off that bill, the final payments of that borrowing and the interest on it, within the last 10 years. So that was over 200 years to pay off the bill. Yes, there are some things in life that are painful, that are costly, but are worth doing if we are going to be able to look ourselves in the mirror with respect, and if we are going to be in a position that we can hold our head high in the world.
Well, Greg, on that note, we clearly know where you stand. Thank you very much for expressing your view on this matter.
I think I am not alone. And if I am, so be it. I still believe it.
We hope you enjoyed that discussion, and if so, kindly subscribe to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of our videos as and when they are published. And also in the description box below, we place links to certain books, articles, and programs which you may find of benefit, and for which we will receive a small commission should you purchase through our link. And this will help support our channel and to enable us to develop it further.